Okay, basically saddle stitching the quiver bottom. Here's the bottom of the quiver here. I locked my thread on there by passing the thread through the needle, over the point of the needle, and then push the thread. I basically put the needle through the thread and then all the way up to the top, and then created a knot and locked my two needles. We're going to saddle stitch this. What I did is I just clipped the base of the quiver. There's a leather back quiver. I started it by clipping it together with a little clothes peg. I found the stitching pony too cumbersome for a project like this. So what I did is I centered my thread. I measured this length. The base is about a foot. So I did about 5 times. There's no real formula, but some of the other videos I watched, you should go 3 to 5 thread length for the run length of the number of stitches that you have. So I've done a few, there's lots of videos that'll show you how to start off with saddle stitching, but I'm just going to bust out a couple stitches here so you can see how slow and cumbersome it really is, but it makes a nice stitch. So I've punched my needle through from the top. Normally this would be right and left or front and back of your project if it was in a stitching pony. So I'm going to bring that needle through both pieces of leather. Okay, just a bit, let it hang there. Now I've got the other needle. This is two needle stitching, aka saddle stitching. So now I'm going to hold this thread out of the way, and my goal is to get through the same hole but underneath that thread. And one of the big deals is so what I need to do is make sure I'm not putting the second needle, through the thread of the first needle. So what we do when we push the thread, the needle that is going under, we pull the first thread out a bit when that needle goes through. And as you can see, in fact, I did puncture the thread on that first stitch. But not to worry, I can just back the needle out a bit. Pull that thread out of it, pull the needle out of that. There we go. But that's why when you do your second push through of the needle, when you punch in your second needle on a saddle stitch, you pull the first thread backwards a little so you can see if you've actually punctured that sucker. So yeah, it's running freely now. It's important that they run freely because we're going to counter tension them. So let's just pull that one through, bingo, like that. Going to make sure these threads are running nice and smooth so that I don't actually tangle them. And here we go, we pull them at roughly the same time. Pull them through, la la la, like that. I'll stop that one and then pull the other one a bit. Okay, you can get into a bit of a rhythm. I've done, oh gosh, maybe about 8 stitches so far. But as you can see, so that's one stitch, bang, and I give it a nice little tug, tightens them up, okay. This one I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to bring this one from the bottom to the top. And I've already made the holes, luckily. There, got it. I made these holes with this piece here. It's a stitching chisel. And making the holes in a circular object like this was difficult. Normally you have a chisel with only 2 tongs. But what I did is I stuck this sucker on an angle and I just hammered with 2 tongs and had 2 or 3 of these not really working for me. That worked out okay, kind of cheating. But I was able to go around the circle in a good fashion. So we'll pull this up. Okay, I'm yakking, so it's taking longer. But there we go. That's one through. And now this one I slide underneath, just like the other one. So I get it underneath. Check the back side. There. Okay, and again, I'm backing the thread below a little. There, I missed it. Good. Missed the thread. So now we can continue. I may actually go back to holding these with the clothes peg. There we go. That was through. Okay. Pull these tight. Yeah, see, I had a clothes peg here. Use a separate piece of leather so you don't get little silly marks on your project. But yeah, just as an extra pair of hands to hold that snug while you do your stitching. But I wanted to move the clothes peg so you guys could actually see what I was doing with the needles. But now that we know what's going on there, we'll just pull these through. Make sure there's no knotting. I've got a pretty long piece of thread here that I'm doing this because it's a pretty long project. Oh, and I've already looped that through there. Okay, good. Okay, nicely done. Okay, and that's another nice tight stitch. Okay. Okay, here's a trick I've been doing earlier. Is using my little scratch awl there to find the hole on the bottom. So I can get that needle through the same hole. Oh, missed it. Okay, there we go. Good. So the awl is marking the hole for me. The awl down. Okay. So push the first needle through. And then take the second needle and go underneath through the same hole. It's called saddle stitching. Yeah, it's a little easier just with the clothes peg holding everything in place. I don't get the holes separating as much. I'm going to back that thread a tiny bit there. I didn't catch it. So, bam. Okay. Up to 3 stitches. I don't know how long that took, but seems like forever. Give that first one a tug to get the needle out of the way. Tug through the second. Okay, and I've got okay, woohoo, 3 stitches. Takes a while, but I kind of like the result. It's a nice tight stitch. But now you know leather work takes a lot of patience and many stitches. Okay.